You're watching In the Mix TV. I'm your host, Nicole Naray, and we are here in Bay Harbor, Florida, getting ready to get an exclusive interview with Ron Lawrence, okay? He has worked with Notorious B.I.G., he's worked with Sean Diddy Combs, Aretha Franklin, Luther Vandross, and more. We're going to talk about his segment on the Netflix documentary, The Evolution of Hip Hop. I'm sitting here with music producer Ron Lawrence, and you just wrapped up a great set with Netflix for the Hip Hop Evolution documentary. How was that?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was great.
Okay. What's some of the things that we can expect in your segment?
Well, speaking about the whole Bad Boy era, touched a little bit on Jay-Z.
Where they ball and breed rhyme stars. I'm from Marcy, son. Just thought I'd remind y'all.
And, you know, what we were doing back then, how we were influential to the sound of music for that time.
Okay. Influence is really important, like you were saying, the influence during that time. And so when it comes to breaking records, police brutality, all the things that you guys pretty much experienced in that era, what do you think about how music is going right now when it comes to a lot of the social issues?
Well, you have some that touch on the social issues, which is a good thing. You know, T.I. talks about it. Quite a few that speak on it. The younger generation, not too much. I think they're coming into being as they get older. Mm-hmm. But the younger generation, they're into having fun and everything. So I think as you get older, you get more exposed and you get more conscious of what's going on around you, and you take things a lot more serious. So I think the younger generation, they'll eventually get there.
Okay. And hopefully this project with Netflix will inspire the younger generation to learn more about hip-hop, the evolution, how it started, because I don't think a lot of them know, like, the backstory. And you were there for a lot of that.
Yes. And that's why these shows are here, to preserve their history, to tell what went on before they got here. And like I said, you know, if you don't get it now, then you'll eventually get it later on, because history is that's what it is. It's documented, and it's for us to be able to learn from. So yeah, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to teach, and I'm here to be able to speak about what I've gone through, to tell you know, what I was involved with and how I did the things that I did, the records that I made, and the impact that I had in the industry, which enables them to do what they do today.
Okay. You have your own film production. You have your own store. You do so many things, and I think that's I think that's amazing. That's commendable, because you've been in the game a long time. And usually when you have producers or artists or anybody on an executive level in the music industry, somehow they usually just fall off. And so how have you been able to just keep going after 10, 20 years in the music industry?
Yeah. Well, I always try to find ways to reinvent myself. And to me, it doesn't stop with music. So I want to be able to figure out how I could branch off and do different things, and try to figure out, you know, ways to make different types of income and stuff. And, you know, being what I've gone through in life, I just have a different outlook. So, you know, everybody's time is limited on this earth. So you have to try to accomplish as much as you can.
Exactly. Now, your publicist, Tammy Page, who works with a lot of celebrities, she said that you work with some really big name people. So tell us a little bit more about the people you've worked with: Aretha Franklin, Luther Vandross, Sean Puffy, P. Diddy Combs, you know, Brother Love. He has so many names.
Yeah. Yes, Jay-Z, Notorious B.I.G. Ridiculous. When those songs were being created, I had no idea the song was going to be for Biggie. Puffy liked it so much. After the record was created in Trinidad and we went to lay it down, I just remember how Puff was going crazy. And he was saying, yo, this right here is going to be Biggie's first single. Like, he already said it before even Biggie put the lyrics on it, that he knew that would be Biggie's first single. And while we were getting on a plane to go back to New York, that's Biggie's first single. I was like,
no idea for the hook yet, no nothing.
Nothing. Mace, Faith Evans, Mary J. Blige, Brian McKnight, LL Cool J, The Lox. There's just so many of them. I mean,
It is.
I tried to diversify my portfolio with music, and I tried to go different ways. Like I'll go hardcore, I go commercial mainstream, I'll do R&B, and yeah. So I've always wanted to do that. I just didn't want to just stick to just one genre. I kind of wanted to just spread out and do everything.
Okay. What would you say is the number one thing that you want people to get out of this Netflix documentary? What is the one thing, especially for the younger generation, that you want them to really challenge in on and take notice to in this documentary?
Well, just kind of hear our story, and you're gonna get it verbatim from us. So if you wasn't there, and if you didn't know anything about it, you're going to learn some history. So you're going to know the hard work that it took for us to make those records, and what we did to make those artists great. And you'll even learn some things about the artists that you didn't know. Now. So I think it's going to definitely be very helpful that if you see it and watch it, then there's something that you're going to walk away with and say, wow, I didn't know that.
Okay. And when it comes to New York, that's like the birthplace of hip hop. It's the birthplace of hip hop, which is really cool. In the documentary, do you guys go to the birthplace? Are you guys going to the Bronx, and do they have a couple scenes in New York?
Well, the evolution of hip hop does cover that. There are different segments, different chapters. Okay. But the chapter that I'm involved in comes later on. But if you want to learn about the evolution, there are earlier sectors of it that's on Netflix now. Okay. Yeah, which I have nothing to do with.
Right. You have nothing to do with. Okay, so your chapter comes later on, and what is that chapter about?
Oh, it's about my era. It's about the era. It's the 90s.
It's a good era.
Yeah.
I still love 90s music. Like 80, I'm an 80s baby, but I love 90s music. That's a good era.
Yeah, 96, 97, 98. Yeah, that was my era. I contributed to that music.
So what do you think about the Pusha T and Drake? I guess 21 Savage said the beef needs to stop. So I guess this is beef, but what do you just think about? You've been there, Notorious B.I.G., you've been side by side with him. What do you just think about what's going on with the Pusha T and Drake situation?
Yeah, well, I think, the level that it's going to right now, we're moving away from the lyrical art form, and we're starting to get personal, and we start to dig up dirt about each other and say things that the public shouldn't really need to hear. Okay. But I mean, social media, that's what they like right now, and they feed off of that. So it kind of it strays away from the art form, and now it's like, okay, I'm putting your dirty laundry out there. Okay, well, it's my turn, so I'm gonna put your dirty laundry out there, and then.
But wait, isn't that like part of, like, back in the day in New York they had Cyphers and things like that? Right. Isn't that like part of hip hop, or? It
is, but when we did it, a lot of the stuff wasn't true. It was just like make believe stuff. Okay. Like when KRS went against the Juice Crew, I mean, the stuff he was saying, it wasn't necessarily true, but it was funny. He said stuff about Roxanne Shante, and Marley and stuff like that. But the stuff wasn't necessarily true, but it was funny.
It makes it different.
Right, but now we're getting personal, where we say things that can destroy each other's livelihoods.
And brands, yeah.
Right, so you may say things about somebody's family member or something that person didn't know about. So now it's out in the open, like, wow, you cheated on me, you did that, and then it opens up a whole bunch of can of worms and stuff like that. I just think it gets messy after a while. But I mean, that's what hip hop is right now, and that's what social media likes. That's what they want. and that's what they feed off of. So if that's what they want, then hey, you know,
Yeah,
but hey, that's what it is.
but that's and probably like 10 years from now, like music producers in this era that's just coming out, well, they'll probably have their own documentary about the evolution of hip hop now, in this decade and this time. And so I think it just keeps going and it's good. And like we really just appreciate your contribution to hip hop. I think just to be able to have somebody still here to help us get the history and dig up that information is just so important. So your segment, we just want to thank you, and we're glad that you accepted the invitation to do it. And if it's anything you want people to know, the culture when it comes to hip hop, what would be that one thing that you just really want people to know overall?
Well, you got to be true to hip hop. I think if you're true to hip hop, then I think it's more appreciated. I mean, some people aren't really true to the game. You have to really be true to it, and you have to live it. And I live hip hop. Hip hop raised me. I've been doing this all my life. So, and I think for the culture, you got to keep it real. You can't front. As an artist, you got to keep everything. You got to keep it real. I don't think you should be somebody that you're not. Okay. And I think a lot of artists out there fronting, and they're faking it. And when they go home, they're somebody totally different. I think it's important that we keep it real. And you have a lot of people, a lot of kids that look up. I'm not saying that you should be a role model, but a lot of people look up to you.
The fact is that kids look up to.
Yeah. Kids look up, and I'm not telling anybody how to live their life. I'm just saying, just keep it real. Just keep it 100. Yeah. And that's with anything that you do.
Well, this is Nicole Naray with In the Mix TV, and I'm right here and just wrapped up an exclusive with music producer Ron Lawrence. And make sure you just keep it locked in the Mix TV.
Hey, 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 hey.